Hi, and welcome back to Introspection, the podcast about grief to growth. I'm your host, Amy Lindner-Lesser. I am a master's prepared social worker, a grief and life transitions coach, a Reiki master, and also a spiritual life coach. I'm not sure when you're listening to this, if it's in real time. At least where I am in central New York State, I can feel fall is arriving. And with the change of seasons, often life transitions that we're going through or have gone through begin to pop up and stir up a whole bunch of feelings. So if you're like me, as the month on your calendar changes, your heart twinges a little. You might feel that September or October smells like goodbye, or April feels like almost, almost spring. This podcast is for you. Welcome to Inntrospection, the podcast about moving from grief to growth. I'm Amy Lindner-Lesser, your host. Introspection started out as a podcast about hospitality, innkeeping, and innkeepers. After about a year, I realized that my life and interests have morphed from hospitality to helping others navigate from grief and loss to growth and living. In this new version of Introspection, I will be talking about my personal experiences with loss, and there are quite a few, what I've learned along the way through my professional training, as well as from my coaching experiences. I'll also be bringing in guests to share interesting ideas. So grab a beverage, find a comfy place, take a deep breath, and listen in. A little backstory. Years ago, on the first cool night of September, the temperatures dropped, and I reached for my husband Steve's old sweater. He had died years before, yet I still smelled his cologne. And I stood in my doorway and thought, how can air feel like a memory? Maybe you've had that moment also. The first snow, the first warm rain, a late summer sunset, and suddenly you find yourself time traveling. Today, we're going to talk about why seasons stir grief and how to meet those waves with kindness and skill and grace. I'd love to know how this is hitting you so far. Drop an emoji if you can for what season you are physically in, and add a word for how your heart feels now. You know me, and if you don't, you're going to learn this about me, is I like to make our experiences normal. There are only two experiences that all human beings share. First one is being born, and I'm going to say that 99.9% of us don't remember that. And the other is death. So I want people to stop being afraid of death and treat it as a normal step in our experience. I like to believe that we are souls or spirits having a bodily experience in our current body. We are, as well as everything around us, we are energy, and energy doesn't disappear. So, at least for me, I find comfort in the fact that while a human being that I loved very deeply is no longer in this physical plane, their spirit is still around. And I can still find signs from them. I can still talk to them and in some ways feel their answers. You may think it's woo, and I can agree, it is woo, If you had told me I would believe this 20 years ago, I would have laughed in your face. But there are times when I'm thinking about something or trying to come up with a solution to something that I can call on Steve and I feel the pressure on my shoulders like he's standing behind me and gently guiding me someplace. So, as part of the normalization, here's a little bit of gentle science. I know many of us are afraid of real science. So, one of the things that is definitely true is that our brains love patterns, light levels, temperatures, smells, routines, and seasons change those patterns. There's less light or more heat, different schedules, the sun rises and sets at different times. School starts again. Holidays approach. Often August, September, October are the Jewish holidays of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And for those who don't observe those, we come into Thanksgiving coming up. Anniversaries fall the same month every year. So a wedding anniversary, a birth anniversary, as well as a death anniversary. And your nervous system is searching for those patterns. And what it does is it asks us, are we safe? Are these patterns normal? And at the same time, your sense memory is brilliant and it pairs that crisp breeze that you might feel with a person, a month, or a milestone. So if your mood dips or spikes and you can't necessarily think of a reason, if you feel foggier, restless, or unexpectedly tender, there's nothing wrong with you. It's your body processing signals. It's not sounding an alarm or a notice of failure. It's grief resurfacing. Grief is love with nowhere obvious to go. Seasons changing gives it places to surface and to pop up and say, remember me, I'm here. Repeat after me. This is a signal, not a setback. So let's think about these feelings and normalize the mix. As human beings, we are complex. We can feel what seem to be conflicting emotions like relief and sorrow at the same time. You can be excited to see the maple tree's leaves turn red and yellow and orange, and at the same time, dread the month that holds an anniversary of somebody's passing. Today's podcast is going to be a little different in that I'm going to ask you to do some active work with me, some exercises. Usually I do a lot of talking, so I'm going to shake it up a little and ask you to work with me. So the first one is to practice holding two truths, two emotions at once. You don't have to choose one to be the real one. They're both real, and any others that you're experiencing at the same time. So I want you to think about two words and write them down. Two words that don't normally go together. Perhaps it's peaceful and prickly, or grateful and gutted. If there's a way to share this, I would love to see it. Share it in the comments. And if there isn't, write it down and then say them out loud. You can say them quietly in a whisper, or you can say them loud. They're both and. Not either or, but both and. So here's our little bit of a roadmap for today. I'm going to teach a simple framework called seasons, appropriately. So it's going to give you some anchors that you can use. Then we'll do a little bit of a reset, and we'll work with an easy 7-day gentle plan. And I'll give you some scripts that I would like you to feel free to borrow and use whenever they're helpful. So let's start with the word seasons. It's a framework we're going to use for seasonal grief. The first S stands for signal, not setback. When a seasonal cue hits you, like the first day of school, the first frost, the smell of sunscreen, the smell of your first rose, or in my case, the first peony that the bud opened, pause and name it. So you might say, this is the first cool night. This is the first night I've needed to turn my heat up. This is the month he died. On walking into a store, it might be, oh my gosh, this is the holiday aisle already, she says as it's September and there are Christmas decorations out. Labeling turns a tidal wave or a tsunami wave into a named current. You can still feel it, but now you can orient yourself to it. So here's a little tool. Grab a sticky note and write on it, signal, not setback. And put it someplace where you're going to see it, whether it's on the coffee maker, in the kitchen, on the cabinet or the refrigerator, on your front door, on the inside, so that when you pull the door open to walk out, you see that. You will notice that throughout this and in many things that I do, there are a lot of nautical references. And I do that as a way to trigger me and to remind me of my late husband, who loved to sail. He loved being on water and being out. And so I have incorporated as many nautical words and ideas in what I do. Just to let you know that. Okay, so we're up to E. E is for expect waves and plan for the aftershocks. Grief is not linear. Grief is cyclical. It moves in circles, going up and sometimes spiraling down. But it is a moving thing. Anniversaries and holidays can produce what I call aftershocks. It's important to remember that expecting them and planning for them does not call them into action. It doesn't make it worse. You're going to think about them no matter what. What it does do, though, is it softens them. So here are a few ideas. You could have a first snow soup night, a one-pot dinner, watch one cozy show or a movie, and put your phone away. Be present in the night. Pick a day in the fall, pick a specific route, a trail, and do that walk every year on that day. And then come back and have a mug of hot apple cider or hot cocoa. You could invite friends to join with you, and maybe you give them a mug or you tell them bring your mug. You could in the spring plant a garden of memory herbs. So call it your memory garden. Rosemary is the herb that is known for remembrance. Mint brings freshness. I know a bunch of people who have a friend garden. And sometimes it's to remember friends who have died. And sometimes it's because each plant came from a friend's garden. And so planting them in your own garden brings them to you. And this is something that is perfect for today. And it's something you can do by yourself or with others. A summer sunset 5. As the sun starts to set, look at the sunset and list 5 beautiful things from the day. So it could be this gorgeous sunset, the colors. It could be the flower that bloomed today. It could be a bird that you saw. Maybe it was a phone call you received. It's easy to find 5 things that made you feel beauty. You could also do 5 things you're grateful for, whatever fits you the best. But these micro traditions give the season structure, bones, so that the soft parts that are a little bit more delicate feel held. Okay, we've done S, E. A is acknowledge. Acknowledge what is going on and anchor it. Anchor your days. So when the outer world is changing, you need 3 inner handrails, like going up and down stairs. You could do it without the handrails, but the rails make them safer and easier. So in the morning, give yourself 3 to 5 minutes and drink a glass of water. Breathe in and out. Inhale on a count of 4 and exhale on a count of 6. Do it 3 times. And as you're doing it, set a 1-word intention like steady, soft, brave, grace, love, whatever the word is. You can change it every day. Midday. Give yourself between 5 and 15 minutes, preferably closer to the 10 or 15, and choose one focus. Not 10 like we normally do. 1. And it could be something like pay a bill, send a text message, maybe even make a phone call to tell somebody that you're thinking about them. Prep a meal, do your shopping list, but focus. And knowing that you have this focus every day, 10 to 15 minutes. And in the evening, the anchor is to help you close down and settle and ground for a better night's sleep. So 20 minutes or so, dim your lights, stretch, take a shower or a bath, get into your pajamas or whatever you sleep in. Find a real book. And I say real book so that you're not on a device. You don't have that extra light. Put your phone on silence and put it away from you. And let your body learn that sleep is coming and it's something that you can depend on. They're not chores to do, any of your anchors. Instead, they're anchors and rafts. So you're the raft that's floating, but you're anchored. You're tethered to a point so that you're not going flying away. We have our second S for soothe. Soothe the senses. Meet your trigger where it lives. Meaning the same way that it arrived. So if what triggered you was a smell, like cold air or a sweater, swap the scent. Grab an essential oil like citrus or peppermint and take a whiff of it. Open a window for some fresh air if that was not the trigger. Make a cup of tea or coffee so that you have another smell to anchor you. If it's sound that's triggering, like a school bus, holiday music, make yourself a 60-second reset track playlist. One chorus, one ocean sound, one thing that when you play it, it will trigger you back to the present place. If it's sight, if it's something that you've seen that's triggering, could be the first pumpkin display, the first Santa Claus, a coat that might be hanging in the closet. You can do things like change the lighting in the room, turn the item around and look at it from a new angle, or cover it with a soft throw just for a little bit so that you don't have to see it. Move it into another room. The goal is not to erase your memories, it's to quiet them. It's to lower the volume so that you can choose the next step. O. O is for organize. Organize your micro traditions that may not fit anymore. Replace them with small, repeatable rituals. So in my case, Steve and I had two maybe not so small rituals, but that were seasonal. And the first few years after he died, I just couldn't deal with them. They didn't work. They made me feel worse. The first one was Thanksgiving, or as we called it, Friendsgiving. And the second one was a New Year's Day open house. So on the first Thanksgiving after Steve died, I said, okay, what can I do? I can't get rid of the holiday, especially because our wedding anniversary, when we actually got married, was the Sunday before Thanksgiving. Some years our anniversary is on Thanksgiving. So what I did was I invited my best friend and her parents, and I think I invited one other friend and my kids, and we all went out to a restaurant for dinner. It was a terrible food dinner, which, believe it or not, made us laugh. Steve was an amazing cook, and Thanksgiving was, a show place. But without him, what we did was we just laughed. We laughed at how bad the stuffing was. The service was just awful. But you know what? We were together, and my kids and I were with people that we loved, and that helped us. And after a few years, we started to do a Friendsgiving again, and I invited all of my friends who either had no family to spend the time with or didn't want to be with family because they weren't supportive. So I had this great group of friends who have become family. And we used to call them, I still do, my family. And New Year's Day, I grew up with my parents having an open house on New Year's Day. And when Steve and I bought a house, we took on that tradition. And for many, many years, I could not do it. It was a lot of work for me. And eventually, I started doing a special New Year's Day brunch for the guests at my inn. And that was my tipping my hat to the tradition. And then towards the end of the time that I owned the inn, I opened it up and invited a lot more friends and neighbors. It never got to the stage that it was at beforehand, and that's okay. Things change. I changed. Now we're at N. So it's nourish your body and the light. Seasonal shifts can affect sleep and mood. Nourishing is practical and not performative. One of the things that I've noticed with me, especially this year, is that the light presence or absence also affects my eating. That I can be sitting at my desk and it might be 7:30 or 8 at night in the summer, and I never got triggered to have dinner. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" And then I'll think about it at 8 or 8:30 as it's starting to get darker. So, one of the things that we can do, because often as it gets darker, our brain says it's time to go to sleep, is to open the blinds when we wake up. If the darkness drains your energy, I have a special light that is for people with seasonal affective disorder who tend to get depressed when the light is low. Look into getting one of those. Try morning outdoor light. And what I do, and I do it year round, is when I get up and I take the dog outside, I go and I sit on my porch. If I have to put a coat and a hat and gloves on, I do. And I sit for 10 to 15 minutes to soak up the rays of the sun and vitamin D. It's also a way of meditating and grounding that I used to think I couldn't meditate. It was because I was trying to meditate with somebody else's idea and not my own. When I realized that sitting in silence and observing and listening and absorbing the energy from my little world, the bird song, the groundhogs or bunnies hopping around, it was all a form of meditation. As for food, try adding some more protein with your breakfast. It will stabilize you more than just caffeine. And I know many of us think we can live by caffeine alone. We can't. We need nourishment and movement. 5 minutes counts. Whether you walk around your dining room table or around your house, doing some gentle stretches, even sitting at your desk, moving helps. Play a song that you could sway to while you're cooking in the kitchen, or have dance breaks. If you find that low mood or energy is persistent and interfering with your life, reach out to a healthcare professional or a life coach. Getting support is strength. And we're finally at our final S, and that's for support and story. Life carries stories, and so do seasons. Share a memory out loud each week, whether it's at your dining room table with family or friends, or whether it's to yourself and you're just speaking into your phone and recording it. But it's important. You can ask for what you need. So share your story with a friend or a family member. It could be, I have a rough week coming up. Can we make some simple plans so I don't have to be alone on Tuesday? Or, thank you so much for inviting me to that event. I'm going to skip it this year, but maybe I'll join you for dessert. Or, the 14th is a rough day for me. I would really appreciate either a text or a phone call just to check in with me. You are allowed to curate your calendar and set your boundaries. This next exercise is a nervous system reset. And I'd like you to do this with me, but if you're driving, either pull over so you can do it. It's only 90 seconds. Or wait and replay when you're home and in a safe place. Okay, so sit or stand comfortably. If you're sitting, make sure your feet, both of them, are flat on the floor. Drop your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. And inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Hold, and then exhale through your mouth to a count of 6. And do that 2 more times. Now, slowly turn your head to look over your left shoulder. Turn it as much as you can. And then bring it back to center. And now over your right shoulder, as far as you can. See how far back you can look. And then come back to center. What this does is it tells your nervous system that you're safe, that the room you're in, the place you're at is safe. The last part of this is to name 3 neutral things that you can see. So for me, it might be I can see my computer in front of me. I can see a beautiful picture, an oil painting that someone painted for me. I see my box of tissues. Feel your feet where they are on the floor and whisper, signal, not setback. I can do the next thing. Okay. And here are a few seasonal scripts that you're welcome to borrow. You can modify them. You can throw them away. You can create your own. But here are a few. When you need to change a tradition, you can say, I'm grateful for the years of how and the ways that we've always done things. And this year, I need something different and gentler. This is what I'm going to choose to do this year. When a date is coming up, Friday is tender for me. I'm going to keep it simple. A short walk and an early night would help. If you want to honor a memory of somebody, could we light a candle at dinner? I'd like to tell one story and share one gratitude. You're welcome to do the same or not. When you want to decline something, thanks for thinking of me. I'm honoring my limits this year, so I'll pass this time. And here's a plan for you for the week. Grab a pen and paper, and on day 1, grab your calendar and circle one date that might be tender. It could be an anniversary. It could be, a Saturday, because Saturday nights are tough. And add a 10-word plan. Doesn't have to really be 10, just a plan, like go to movies or call Sally. Day 2, choose your morning, midday, and evening anchors and practice them twice this week. We're not asking you to practice them all 7 days, just twice. And give yourself grace. If you only do it once, okay, you've done one more time than last week. If you do more, pat yourself on the back and celebrate your victories. Day 3, create one micro tradition for this season. Day 4, build a 60-second reset track, a playlist. Remember, that could be a chorus of a song. It could be the sound of waves. Day 5, tell a story out loud to somebody who's safe or on your voice memo app. Day 6, write your sticky note that says signal, not setback, and put it where you'll see it. And on day 7, book one supportive touch point. So that could be a friend, coffee with a friend, walk with a friend, or a call with your coach. Small actions count. So here's a quick reminder of what seasons stood for. Signal, expect waves. Anchor, soothe. Organize micro traditions, nourish, and support. If you'd like some help tailoring these tools to your calendar and your memories, I offer a complimentary Imagining Your Next Chapter call, and the link is below in the show notes. I also have a free Facebook group, Navigating Through Life Transitions, which is a gentle place to practice some of these rituals with other people. It's supportive and educational. If you think that you'd like help through coaching, let me know. Send me a DM and I'll send you a link to set up a call. So if the podcast was helpful, save it for your next seasonal wobble and share it with someone who might need it. Your love is real. Seasons can be kind, and you don't have to navigate them alone. I'll see you soon. Make it a great day. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you heard on this podcast and want to hear more, please follow us and tell your friends. You can also find me on Facebook at Amy Lindner-Lesser, Grief to Growth Life Coaching, and on LinkedIn at Amy